You may have heard the term bullish market or consumer demand, or perhaps seller's market or housing crisis. But what do they all have in common? Well, in terms of real estate, when the market is hot, there's a high demand for housing and a low amount of inventory to go around. When the market favors the buyer, they have the luxury of calling the shots. Low offers, favorable terms, and a surplus of inventory to choose from are just a few examples of how a buyer can take advantage of a buyer's market. Today, we're going to talk about how buyers can win in a seller's market. I'm Adrienne Carlton from eXp Realty, and you are watching YEG Cribs.
Here we go.
So, the first thing buyers need to know is that homes that were previously selling for a certain price a couple years ago are now selling for much higher. Take, for example, Edmonton, Alberta. In 2019, this house sold for $600,000. Fast forward to 2022, I listed this property for $825,000 and it sold for $840,000. Let's talk about some differences. This house did have a few renovations done. They completed the basement just on a basic level. There's no bathroom or bedrooms put in. They just drywalled and put up walls, finished the ceiling, put the flooring in. This kind of renovation you would expect to be around $30,000 for a house this size if you're not adding those extra rooms in. They also added a fence. That's around $5,000. There was a hot tub added. That's another $12,000. Take those renovations, add it on to $600,000, and the total is still nowhere near what this house sold for. Here's another example. In Spruce Grove, a suburb just 20 minutes outside of Edmonton, my buyer purchased this property in 2018, and it sold for $538,000. Fast forward to 2022, we have it listed for $620,000, and we just received an offer, so we know it's going to sell around that price. That's an $80,000 increase in only a few years. So what causes prices to increase so drastically? Let's take Edmonton, Alberta, Canada, for example. We have a few provinces that are migrating here, Ontario and BC. Let's look at BC. They have a land transfer tax. So every time they move, they have to pay an extra portion on the proceeds of their sale towards the government. So they're losing extra equity on top of all the other fees. Plus, their real estate prices are increasing. So now they have less money to pay for that next home, which is more expensive. So they're literally getting priced out of their market when they could take that same amount of money and come over to Alberta and get the same quality of home for $500,000 or $600,000 less. You factor that in, as well as the fact that they have a very high cost of living, and you factor COVID into all of this, which I really feel is just the tipping point now. So you've got a province where they've got new restrictions, less freedom. They can't go out to eat without a vaccine passport. And you factor that all in with this high cost of living and being priced out of their market, and all of a sudden, Alberta starts to look really desirable. So that's just one example of how a price can increase. So as I discussed in my video here, we have out-of-province buyers migrating to Alberta. They have just sold their house. They have tons of money because their market is much higher than ours. They're going to get the same price house here for way less. They're used to seeing offers and competing against offers when they're purchasing in their province, and these offers are selling for $100,000 over asking. They come here and they have to give $20,000 over asking, and that's easy for them. So this is what we're competing against and why our pricing is being driven up on our homes. We're no longer competing against local buyers like we previously were. So what do the stats look like in a strong seller's market? Let's take a look at Edmonton, Alberta as an example. So here are the stats from the Realtors Association of Edmonton for March 2022. We've got 2,383 homes that sold last month. If you compare that with the amount of inventory available, which is 4,200 homes, basically we've got around 2 months worth of inventory to keep up with the demand. Normally, in a comfortable market, You want to see at least 5 months of inventory. That's about a balanced market. If you've got 8 months of inventory, that is a very brutal buyer's market. You're going to get a lot of homes for low prices and tons to choose from. Right now, we do not have a lot of homes to choose from. And then over here, we've got our new listings. Those were up 44% month over month. Year over year, up 11%. Sales were up 42%. So basically, as soon as a home comes on the market, it's sold. Year over year, we're up 45% in sales. Let's take it over to the greater Edmonton area. So again, we've got inventory, 5,200 homes, sales last month, 3,200. So this means we've got about a month and a half of inventory available. Again, major seller's market. New listings are up 47%, and month over month, sales are up 45%. Year over year, we've got the 7.5%, and sales up 34% year over year. So how can a buyer survive in this market and win? First of all, and this goes without saying for any market, a buyer should have a pre-approval, but especially in this market, because you may be pre-approved for $450, but in this market, you really should only be looking at homes for around $425 or $430 because they are going to sell over asking. So we need to know what you're pre-approved for so that we're actually shopping in the price range that you can buy in. Next up, work with an agent. Sign a contract. You want to know that someone has been hired for you to work in your corner. A lot of the sales that are happening right now in a seller's market are happening off market, or properties you may see go pending very quick on the first day on market. That's because showings have been happening before it even hit the market. The realtors that are local are talking back and forth, and we're hustling our real estate. We're trying to get people in there right away, and especially to our own buyers. So if you're working with an agent that is connected into that local market, then they can be working behind the scenes on your behalf to try and find the real estate that hasn't even hit the market yet, because that's where the sales are happening. When you sign a contract with a buyer's agent, they have officially been hired by you, and they are going to hit the ground and they are going to dig up whatever they can so that they can find the proper house for you. And that's what you need in an aggressive seller's market. Do not offer subject to sale. So here's the conundrum. You have a house you need to sell, but you don't want to sell it until you've found a house that you want to buy. Well, chances are in a seller's market, there are several buyers that have sold their house. They're going to write an offer on the same property that you are, and they're going to win because they don't have a subject to sale condition. Yes, it is risky. And yes, you need to figure out a game plan with your realtor so that you can accomplish this. But as soon as you offer a subject to sale condition, it's going to make it more challenging for you to win. So you have to look at your options. Do you possibly have a place you can stay if you sell your house first before you find one? Can you look into an Airbnb or a rental? Stay in your camper, stay at your mom's. These are some of the realities that you actually have to face when you're in a seller's market. If you want your offer to win, the less conditions you have, the better, especially a subject to sale condition. Be prepared to offer over asking. When you come out of a buyer's market for many years, like we've seen in the Edmonton Alberta area, a lot of the buyers have not adjusted to the fact that you're going to pay asking price or more. They're used to offering $20,000, $30,000 less on a $400,000 home and settling somewhere in the middle. That is not going to fly now. And unfortunately, buyers often learn that the hard way. They write 2 or 3 offers, they lose every time, and eventually they get the picture that they have to offer more to win, especially in multiple offers. And usually by this point, now their house is sold and they have to be out within 3 weeks. So the sooner you adjust to the realities of the market, which is you have to be willing to pay over asking price, and not just $2,000 to $3,000 over asking price when there's 4 other offers, but probably $15,000. If you aren't willing to do that, you will probably lose every time. For example, I just listed a house a couple days ago. We did a weekend of showings, we collected offers, and after receiving 4 offers, I would say 3 of them only went within $5,000 over asking. That is not enough to win in this market because there's one buyer that went $16,000 over asking. That was the buyer that wins. However many offers there are, you have to scale up in how much you offer. Try a bully offer. Sometimes in a strong seller's market, offers will be collected for a certain period of time and they'll be presented on a specific day. There is the odd time, however, that if you offer exceedingly above asking, they will just cancel showings and they will settle with you. I had a buyer have this happen where we found a house that they loved, and of course they're from BC where they are used to paying well over asking. So they said, Adrienne, we want to lock this house in. We do not want it to go through a week of showings. Just give them $20,000 over asking. We wrote that up and the seller went with it. They decided to not do their showings. This is called a bully offer, and this is how you can lock a property in before anyone else gets to it. So we've seen what buyers need to do, but what can a seller do to maximize their opportunity that they are in an amazing seller's market? Price at market value to stay competitive. If you're going to price it at market value, you're going to get multiple offers. We do realize that as the market increases, so should the listing price, but you don't want to increase it so much that you don't get that multiple offer rush, because as soon as you start to get multiple offers, people get competitive. They take out conditions. They say, you know what? The house looked pretty good. I'm going to pass on an inspection condition. Let's just put a financing condition. Whereas if there's only one offer, there's less competition for them to compete with, and they're not going to bring their most aggressive offer. So price it at market value, and then you are going to see the offers roll in, and you are going to have your pick of the crop. Set a date for offer presentation. You want to give this beautiful property that is priced at market value a very fair run on the market. Give it 3 or 4 days, list it right before the weekend, and then you've got those weekend buyers that are coming in Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Present offers Sunday night. Don't make them wait too long, otherwise they're going to maybe offer on something else. But we want to give it a few days on the market. Then we can collect offers and we can choose the best one. Be open to bully offers. You may be encouraged by your realtor to set a date for offer presentation, but the reality is that you as the seller call the shots. If someone brings you an amazing offer and you really want to work with it, you're allowed to. You don't have to wait until the offer presentation day. This is all about you and getting you your best case scenario. If you get a great offer, go for it. So you've just sold your home. Chances are you also now need to buy one. So keep in mind that what once was working for you as a seller is now working against you as a buyer. Housing prices are high. Factor that in as a buyer, because we know that it's great as a seller to be getting top dollar for our home, but we also need to recognize that as a buyer, you're going to be paying top dollar. If you're looking at buying or selling in the Edmonton region, please feel free to reach out to me. And if you want to see more content like this, don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks for watching. See you next time.